Kana Hobnobby relatives, Membi Watahushka Obi Miha. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are, there's not going to be really any kind of an introduction like I normally do at the beginning of the videos. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk about genealogy. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, there should be a little thing on there saying that genealogy is still the first thing. So that's what we definitely know. And I got a couple special guests in here today. I got the Brother Love Legacy in here to talk to you about genealogy, and I also got my brother Kuda Mayo in here as well. And he's going to be speaking about some things as well. So just to kind of give a little introduction of who I am. I go by the name of Opi Miha. That's from the Tutelo language, which is the language that the Indian people or the tribe that I'm associated with, that is the language they spoke. And, you know, the journey here has been kind of a long one for all of us. I'm in my 40s, and, you know, most of my life been thinking, you know, that all of us is, or myself, you know, my family was from Africa, you know, never did any genealogy. Was told by my grandmother that, you know, we did have Indian in our family, and she did say, you know, Blackfoot, Blackfeet, Indian. Kind of the stories we've all, you know, we've all been told. But that's a little bit about me. Legacy, if you wanted to go in a little bit and tell everyone about yourself.
Highway, Hagita. Hello, and how you doing? This is Love Legacy. My tribal name, Tan Warrior, Iladao Akote, from the Saponi-Catawba Nation. Um, me. I just got on not too long ago. It's only been a year. For the people who don't know me, I just started out, you know, wanted to know who I was. I started out with the ancestry DNA test. I did that, and then I'm looking, and I'm like, okay. So then I'm like, well, where's Africa? Well, where's slavery? And as I continue to go, they telling me I'm 70% African on DNA test. And as I go and I'm looking and looking, I keep getting stuck. I'm like, why do I keep getting stuck? You know, 1860, 1865, it's supposed to be slavery. Where's the slavery, right? And that's why I actually got stuck. And then once I said, you know what, maybe this person, this particular person on this line is not connected to this person. And I took the person off and I erased the whole slavery thing on my mind. And then that's when I started to see, I said, wait a minute. And that's when I came across people like Dan Calloway and Phoenix Moon. And then later on, I bumped into Corey Mayo. And then that's when I started really getting into community. And then I came across the video that I believe Opie that you put out with the Saponi-Catawba Nation, telling people to go ahead, and if you have those last names, to go ahead and fill out the application. And I filled out the application for the tribe, which I was told by Tuscarora to do so, because my people were started out as Tuscarora, but then joined in with the Saponi and the Catawba at a later time. So as I looked and looked, I just got more and more Indian. I basically mostly what I do is genealogy. I'm not a historian, but I like doing genealogy. I love helping the people with genealogy, and I think this is going to be a good one.
Absolutely appreciate that introduction. And Kuda Mayo, if you'd like to tell everyone who you are, even though we all know who you are, but if you want to say some words.
Yeah, man, I'm just you know, normal person, just like everybody else. You know, just got into this. I mean, we grew up in Spanish countries. You know, they tell us, you know, we're somewhat Indian. They like to admit, you know, that we're somewhat, but they call us mestizos or mixed, or we don't have enough Indian blood or whatever, and they'll say 99% Spaniard or whatever. when you look at history, it just doesn't make sense, especially when you realize who the Spanish were in those times. And when you do your own genealogy, you start seeing, different things. So, based on what I also did with my genealogy, I was able to, see who I really was. And there's actually a very small percentage of Spaniard. It wasn't like how they told us. So, you know, whatever, the blood quantum you want to count, that's something that you kind of have to look into on your own and see, what makes more sense. Because the facts are different than what they tell us, and so yeah, I encourage everybody to do it. Even if you don't know, try it out. Get as much information as you can from your elders, locations, last names. Open has a great example. Legacy's done it too, and these are people who probably never did this before, and just started doing it and was able to do it and complete it and see who they were and prove it. And so yeah, that's why I'm here supporting Opie, a great brother, always sharing information, and has a lot of love for everybody. And I truly believe he's a real brother and not here just for entertainment or making money. So that's why I'm here.
Appreciate that, Kudamayo. And before we continue on, just want to say what's up to the chat. Um, Try to start from the beginning here. Mr. Dark Brother, peace. Glad to see you in here. Uh, Nine Other, good to see you. Thanks for coming, relative. Chickahominy Roots, appreciate you being here, relative. Thank you. See, we also have Ab OG. Appreciate you being in here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you. We got Black Ice. Appreciate you being in here, relative. Thanks for showing up. We got Indigenous American Leo. Appreciate you being in here, family. Thank you. All right. So, appreciate everyone being here again. So, what we wanted to do is get into some specifics as far as genealogy is concerned. So, we wanted to talk about what has worked, what hasn't worked. On my channel, I actually posted a like a questionnaire asking people, to give me whatever genealogy question that they had, and we'll be answering those questions as well. Then throughout this, I wanted to kind of show my genealogy, a little bit of it, some of the ones that I got to go back pretty far on, and Legacy is going to get into talking about genealogy as well because he's really good at it, and I definitely wanted someone who does genealogy, that's really good at it, to come on and speak on it. Legacy, before we begin, did you have anything you wanted to get into real quick?
Not really, not in particular. I'll just let you lead, and I'll come behind you. We'll go from
Okay.
there. I have some things.
Okay, cool. So what we'll do is we'll start off with what hasn't worked, as far as genealogy is concerned, for my journey for myself. And then I'll let Legacy speak on what hasn't worked for him. And then Curl Mayo, if you want to jump in on that, you can as well. But as far as genealogy is concerned, for me, what hasn't worked in particular, there's a few sites that I try to visit here and there, and one of the main ones that throws me off quite a bit is Family Search. Again, it does work for some people, but for me in particular, it really didn't work for me that well. So that's one of the things that hasn't worked for me so far. Legacy, if you want to speak on something that hasn't worked for you.
Well, I myself, I started with Ancestry, so I was kind of lucky about that. But one thing that didn't work for me in the beginning was assuming. People assume that even if they are Indian, that they're gonna open it up and they're gonna start their genealogy and they're gonna see Indian, or they're gonna find Indians, right? Even if they're labeled as black or whatever. And I've opened up people's genealogy sometimes, and it's not even that far, one, two generations, and you find nothing but so-called Caucasians. So a lot of times they get a little discouraged and stuff like that. Another thing too is like I said, assuming, making assumptions, assuming African or assuming just anything. The main thing to start out with your genealogy is get the information, get your grandparents, great grandparents. The number one thing is to make it to 1940, because I believe that's the last census that came out that we can actually view. And once you go from there, just take your time. Don't rush. Don't assume. Again, assumption is the worst thing you can do with genealogy, because you can assume that because this person's name is Raymond Johnson, and that this person's name Raymond Johnson, that they're the same person. You have to assume the opposite. If you want to assume something, assume the opposite. Assume the worst when it comes to genealogy, and just take your time, because it's gonna take time, a lot of time. And to think that you're gonna go back and see Indian is probably not gonna happen. I found like one, maybe two cases where somebody actually had Indian, and even when they found Indian, we still didn't know what tribe. So that's one thing that I assumed in the beginning, and it's just not true. The whole thing was to take your identity away. So nine times out of ten, you're not gonna find Indian, and you're just gonna have to sift through black and white and all this stuff to see what it really is.
Definitely agree with that. Um, Kudamel, you want to jump in there and see what and
Yeah.
say what you worked and haven't worked?
Well, all I can say is like what I've experienced. So I mean, like I did try Family Search first because it was free, and I didn't trust any of those websites anyway at first. When I tried out Family Search, I started noticing that they were actually pulling, marriage, death, census records. It was still a little funny because I noticed people can change things on their own and it just place a relative or this ancestor if they want, make them their, ancestor. So I was all right. Let me try Ancestry.com. Paid the 14.99 a month, and it happened to match everything on Family Search. So I was actually really happy that I wasn't just assuming things, and they actually both went and let me know who my ancestors were, and there was a perfect match. I was able to actually go all the way back to to when they came, the conquistadors, and with the ancestors who was the cacique at the time and everything. So I got all the like paperwork behind it. It's all verified. That's the good thing about these sites that they do use the documents that were scanned by the Mormons or later Day Saints, whatever. They have the database for what who knows, but they know who we are. Anyways, and yeah, so it's there if you really like put in the work, a little bit of the work. Forget about the money, anyways. Whatever. I mean, not everything's free. But if you put in the work, put in correct information, it starts pulling the records for you and it starts suggesting, and then you could say yes or no, and then you can just verify with your family members, and that's what I did. I verified my parents, grandparents, and yeah, they was matching with the history. So try it out. And again, yeah, just I would try both. I wouldn't just go with Family Search or Ancestry just to see what they both throw. One of them's free, so you have nothing to lose. But yeah, what hasn't worked? I mean, what what won't work is you trying to put yourself, create your own genealogy. That's not gonna work, So be happy with what you get the results and who you are, and embrace it, whatever it is. So if you believe you're African and it doesn't say African, then you know you got to go with facts, and vice versa. So yeah, so that's all I have to say.
Appreciate those words, Kudamel, because that's definitely truth as well. And just speaking on something that Legacy said, he made the comment that you're more than likely not going to find the word Indian, on your family when you look them up, and that's pretty much true. You're going to see a lot of, Negro, mulatto, colored, as you start going through the years on these census records when you're looking up your ancestry. And to be honest, I did a video not too long ago where I was speaking about Robeson County, North Carolina. That's probably one of very few places where I've seen that on some census records that people are actually listed as Indian. Again, not sure how that was pulled off or what happened to where, they labeled those people that way. But again, you got people coming out taking census and, they may have just put down whatever they thought. And that's usually the case. But again, with what Kudamara was saying, when you do your genealogy and you start seeing, the family members popping up and whatnot, um, again, embrace what you see. Don't just, take it for what you see, because you definitely need to do your research on what you're finding. Don't just assume, that name of that person is, your direct ancestor. You need to do your research on it. When you get in there and look at all the records, the death records, everything. All right. So, next thing I wanted to talk about is what has worked. And just from hearing these two gentlemen speak on what hasn't worked, I'm in the census with the other two that ancestry is probably one of the better ways to go as far as looking at that. That's that's what's worked well for me. Um, and I'll get into some specifics here in a minute. I'm gonna let Legacy comment on what he feels has worked for him.
Well, as far as genealogy, what has worked for me is really just being patient. That's the number one thing. Being very very patient. When I come across and I help people with their genealogy, you know, they're really gun ho and they want it to happen instantly, and it just doesn't work like that. Sometimes it takes a while, especially if you're not in the area where your ancestors were, where you could go to a national archive or vital records or whatever it is and get these documents. It gets a little difficult. And when you're dealing with a website, sometimes you have to remember that you're dealing with a machine. So you may put an ancestor in today and nothing comes up. It might not come up for a few weeks. You may have to come back in a few weeks, and then boom, there's a hint. Or you go to look back for the same documents. You go to search for the same documents, and now you find it. Whereas in 2 weeks ago, you went through the same steps and went looking for the document, and you couldn't find it. So you have to remember that when you're online, that you're dealing with a machine, and the machine does what it does. So that's what's worked for me most of all with doing the genealogy research is being patient, and not letting it beat you down, because if you let it defeat you, it will.
I kind of agree.
Yeah,
Just put in much work and effort, and just really believing in yourself too first. Actually, because you wouldn't even try it if you didn't think there was no doubt that you may not be African. So believe in yourself, believe in your grandparents, and verify it, and verify what they're saying. It's in the records. They kept good records of their so-called servants, so-called slaves, and basically their assets. So that's how they were treating you, like an asset. So they were keeping record of all that stuff, and so try it out. Yeah, and I mean, it's been for me. It's been great to know and verify all this with my parents. I mean, they're shocked sometimes because they didn't know these kind of things existed. There's pictures of people that they never even met, like their uncles and great aunts and stuff. sometimes they pop up. So take a look at it, try it out.
Exactly, Kudamel. I agree. So one of the other things that has definitely worked for me. So I try to use other sources to kind of verify what I'm finding. And a lot of you know that I do the family history on my channel a lot. And again, the purpose of that is just to show you um, these surnames of these people that we're finding, that they were here long before African slavery, and that they were listed as free people back in the 1700s. So I'm going to screen share for just a second and show the site for everyone to see if you've never seen it before or had a chance to visit it. So if you guys can just give me a second, I'm going to do that. All right. So as you can see on the screen, this is the site. It's called Free African Americans. So dodge those hijacks. We already know that. Dodge the hijack. Dodge it. It says Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Maryland, and Delaware. One of the questions that I did have someone ask me that they were getting stuck in getting further back in Fairfax, and they were asking me if there was any other sources to use, like Henning's books that he wrote, and a lot of this information actually comes from that. So if you see here on the screen, when you click on these, you got Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina, and you got Maryland and Delaware. You also got the colonial tax list, which will have our people's names on them. And in this, you actually get Tennessee included in that. And I believe on one of these, you also get Pennsylvania as well. So I'm going to click on one of these so you guys can see it. So normally this will have the surnames listed in alphabetical order. And then, like I was saying, if you keep going down on this list, you'll see the Delaware tax list, and then you'll see where those show the other free heads of household. And here's the one for Maryland. So it's got the tax list. It actually has court cases. All that stuff is listed in here. And then down here, you see Pennsylvania. All right. So let me go back for just a quick second. So that was Maryland, Delaware. So if you go to Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina, again, you can see all the family surnames that showed up. And a lot of these are from, again, tax records, court cases, different things like that of, these other free families. Okay. And then again, you'll see, you can even get the names of people who were in the Revolutionary War. So basically, I'm going to stop screen sharing for a second here and come back. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is that you need to use all sources available to you, and you need to, do and use what works for you. So again, some things that work for me may not work for Legacy, or they may not work for, Kudamel, because, um, once we start doing our genealogy, sometimes we'll have the same family surnames showing up, and sometimes we won't. So, that's why you want to use all the sources available to you. That's why I do the family history videos, just so I can give that extra help to anyone who's stuck. And Legacy or Kuda Mail, if you want to jump in.
Yeah. one of the main sources that I use, well, not the main source, but one of the tricks that I use, not really a trick. I use Google. I had a lot of people get in touch with me. They're like, "Oh, I can't find a obituary for this person and that person and this, that, and the third." And then I just take the name and date of birth and date of death or whatever I have, and I Google it, and it'll come right up. And sometimes on these not so much the well, sometimes on obituaries, and sometimes even just online, find a grave. They'll have the person, but then they'll have more information. So this lady, she was looking for her, I believe her great grandfather or something like that. And what we did, we went to when I Googled it, I found an obituary for her grandmother, and then on there it had her parents listed on her obituary. So a lot of times, we get stuck in this one box. We got to think outside the box when we're doing genealogy. We got to try all kind of tricks. If a name is spelled one way, you try to spell it a different way. I mean, there's just so many tricks that you can use to try to find what you're looking for. But Google is one of the best for me because sometimes you might find another website that has the family name, family story. I mean, sometimes it might just crack the whole case for you. So, like me, I have my grandfather. His last name was Van Lanningham, which was Dutch, and they have a whole thing on his whole family, and it took me months and months and months to put the tree together on my own. And then I went on Google and put in Van Lanningham, and then I found a whole book on the whole family from the time they came to America. So we gotta, we just gotta be so extremely open minded when we're doing this.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of times, you're gonna notice that the be the same relative with different names. Maybe like you have like a sixth, seventh cousin that lives today that you guys don't even know each other, but that seventh cousin might be her great aunt or great great aunt that she knows from her family side, and she's putting in the name that she remembers and the way she thinks it's spelled. So she creates that database, and then you run into it, but you know the true name, but you're seeing it's a different name, but you see that it matches everything, and maybe the names might be a little similar. So you're like, oh, it has to be this person. Well, like Legacy said, you got to keep verifying. You got to kind of keep going everywhere. I sometimes go into the national registry here. They don't have like a family tree or anything like that here, like with these websites, but they have people listed under the registry who their parents are and where they were born. So if I might find the name that I might think it's a relative or an ancestor, and I put it in, and it actually pulls it up, and again, like Legacy said, gives me their parents, the year, so it matches what the records are saying on the website. So that's another way. And yeah, you gotta. The internet is could be a weapon against you, or could be a weapon you can use. Right? Google can send you totally different, and it can throw you off completely because that's what it's designed to do. But if you know how to search, get specific with it, you might actually find some information. Right? So I'm not gonna tell people don't Google things just because Google owned by all these corporations, these people, but you got to really put in some time and effort. If you're not used to sitting down at a computer and just researching and try it out. If you're used to just watching TV, being on the phone all day, you might not want to do it. But if you really want to know, you have to actually put the time in and do the work, and it'll have some benefits if you do.
Absolutely. And Legacy, you brought up something about the way names are spelled. Can you go a little further on what you mean by that?
Yes, let's say, let me see. I'm trying to think of a last name. Okay, like a Chavis, right? That's a well-known Indian
Mm-hmm.
name, Chavis.
Yeah.
So it'll be
Perfect.
Chavis, Chavis. Then it'll be Chavers,
Hmm.
Chavers. Then it'll be Chavis, Chavous. Then it'll be Shavers, Shavers. So really, with our people, you have to look for sounds. How does it sound? And you'll even see like on Ancestry. you'll see when you go to search for people, when you go to the main home page and you try to search for people from there, you'll see that it says sounds like. When you put a name in, it'll say sounds like or exact, and they give you choices to pick if it's exact or it sounds like this. So we have to deal with sounds because that's what our people dealt with. I mean, even with meditation and chanting and different things like that, it's all about vibration. So that's what they're dealing with. You know, they're dealing with sounds, how stuff sounds. They didn't really deal with the English language like that. So, like I said, we got to have an open mind with this, and it took me a while to get that. I was actually looking past people because it wasn't spelled the same. I'm like, that's not the same person. It can't be, you know, until I really got into genealogy, and I'm like, wait a minute. Oh man, I've been killing myself. So yeah, look for those different spellings. You're gonna find it a lot. And then and then once you find a solid, sometimes you can find a solid spelling. Like I found McNeil. I'm doing somebody's genealogy, and I found McNeil, and it's McNeil, Mcneal, then Mcneil. But then I came across a Lumbee listing of Lumbees, and I saw that someone was listed with MCN as in Nancy Eill. So then I started using that because I saw it on the list for the Lumbees, and then it worked well as I kept going on with the genealogy. So, you just have to look for those things. And also, as you go back, it will continue to change. If the name goes through
Hmm.
generations, the spelling will change as you go back. And sometimes the messed up spelling could be now, or sometimes you could go back and then the messed up spelling is way back there. So yeah, you just gotta be open minded and definitely look for those names, even first names, misspelled, even nicknames. People have had nicknames. We gotta think when these census people came to get people's information, our ancestors didn't care. You know what I mean? They were just doing it because they basically had to a certain extent. You know what I mean? They felt that
Yeah.
they had to. So when these people came, they didn't really want to be bothered. So instead of saying her name was Jennifer or something like that, she would say, "Yeah, they call me Mammy.
Hmm.
I'm Mammy
Yeah.
Lewis." So now you're looking for Mammy Lewis. You're like, "Why I can't find Mammy anywhere?" So you really have to investigate because, like I said, they didn't care. They didn't want to be bothered. You might find people that's listed as children that aren't really children. Parents that's listed as parents that aren't really their parents. So
Definitely agree, man, because it can get tricky with the names and the spellings and all kinds of stuff like that. Before we keep going, I wanted to just say what's up to the chat real quick. Brooklyn lady, appreciate you being here, sis. Thank you. We also got Chief Alchemy. What's good, bro? Good to see you again. We got Nighthawk. Peace, fam. We also got Miss Robbie Lawson. Thank you, sis, for being here. Really appreciate it. We got my brother Wanagi in the house. Genealogy is definitely the key. Um, who else we got in here? We got Patricia C. Thank you for being here, Miss Patricia. We also got the Ancient One. Thanks for coming in. Uh, we also got Adam Brooks. Appreciate you being here, relative. Thank you for showing up. We got Elysia Moon. Shalawam, sis. Thanks for being here. Let's see who else we got that I didn't get to. We got Vicky Simmons. Appreciate you being here, sis. Thank you. We got Copper Tone Tony. Peace, family. Peace. Appreciate you being here too. And I think uh, Legacy might have dropped off, so hopefully he can get back in. Kudameo, did you want to go in on anything real quick while we had some time?
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
There's Legacy. He's back. All right, Legacy, I got you back in.
Yeah, I don't know what happened just just now. I saw you guys,
Oh,
but I couldn't open it up. But yeah, so yeah, just have to dig like hell till your fingers bleed.
I agree. I agree. Now the other thing I wanted to talk about as well is me and you had a discussion earlier, Legacy, about trying to find your tribe. Can you talk about some of the hoops and hurdles and difficulties that you've come into doing people's genealogy, as far as finding tribes is concerned?
Okay. Well, some of the difficulties, some of the worst difficulties are, to me, location. If you were in a place where there was a lot of different contact with different tribes, a lot of warfare, a lot of mixing and stuff like that, then it's gonna be kind of difficult. If you're in an area where, like, let's say, like, for instance, you're in middle Georgia with so-called Creek territory. I mean, it was so many tribes over there.
Yeah.
So when you get up in there, it's really difficult. Georgia, Alabama, um, possibly from my experience, like Texas, different places like that. Sometimes it
Hmm.
gets a little hard, difficult far as location. So anybody who's I'm gonna tell you how to find your tribe. But if anybody gets in a location and there's like searching for tribes and it's very hard to find it, that's probably the reason. There's a whole lot of mixing and switching tribes, and then when you go look at these tribal maps, it'll say Creek. You're like, okay, Creek. That's what's like saying Cherokee. People think
Right.
Cherokee is one tribe when it's a lot of different tribes. It's saying Cherokee is like saying Indian.
Hmm. Yep.
So a lot of people get mixed up. They had some tribes, some people they call, those Virginia Cherokees.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So you're gonna run into a lot of stuff. But now, as far as how to find your tribe, you have to just get past the Indian removal, more
There
than
you go.
likely. And Indian removal, I believe, started around like what, 1830, 1820 officially. But
Hmm.
prior to that, they were already removing us because they were fighting against us. So a lot of tribes were moving also. So yeah, so I would suggest that you make it to around 1800. Really, I see a lot 1790.
Hmm.
1790 would be a good place to be. It does get a little difficult once you even get to like 1850, because they stopped listing people's names, like family names. They'll just list the head of household in some places. They'll just list head of household. So then it kind of gets fuzzy.
Right.
But there's other things to look up other than census, court records, tax records, wills, different stuff like that. You can find names, and
Mhm.
different things like that. But that's the main place where you want to be. You want to be prior to the Indian removal, but then also understanding that eventually in your genealogy, maybe not at first, if you get a good run like I did, you won't be dealing with history for about year and a half, or something like that, if you're really into genealogy. But people who are starting and having a rough time, you're probably gonna have to dive right into history. Once you get to like 1860, you're gonna have to start diving into history. You got to look in those areas, and you're gonna have to start reading on what was going on in that area. If you're not gonna read and learn the history, then you're not gonna be able to find your tribe, because you're gonna be looking for, say, just for instance, a Creek tribe, but those people went into Florida and became Seminoles, and then another tribe came into the area that they used to occupy. So now you're looking for the wrong tribe. They're gone. They
Mhm.
already went into Florida and they became Seminoles. So now you searching for the wrong tribe. You got the last name and you're like, oh man, this gotta be it. This gotta be it. And then you stuck like that. So how I did it, well, how I do it now is I just go to around 1800, 1790 to be comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
and I look at the last name. I look at the city and county, right? See what the name of the county was. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
another problem you could run into is those counties don't exist anymore,
Right.
or even the lines have pushed. So now you're in North Carolina. You're in North Carolina, or well, you're in South Carolina. Say you're in South Carolina or whatever at a certain time, and you're looking and looking, but at that time it was North Carolina or something like that.
Right.
If that makes
Right.
sense. So
Exactly.
so you got different things going on. So you have to just look at all of those different things. At one time, most of that side to certain people was named Florida. When you go over to Oklahoma or even New Mexico, all of that was Mexico. You know what I'm saying? So you got to look into all of those things and know where you are in history. I think that's the most important with genealogy. You might luck up and be able to go through it like a breeze, but if you get stuck and everything like that, then you got to start going into history because it'll help you a lot.
Definitely. And just to kind of piggyback on what you were saying about land being called, one state at one time. Um, I got some ancestry where it says Virginia, but that actual land now is West Virginia. So, it was called Virginia Occidental back then. But now that's the same land that we call West Virginia today. So I definitely agree with, what you were saying about that.
Yeah, that's. I'm just giving you an example too. Even today, now I'm from Cypress Hills, Brooklyn. Grew up in Cypress Hills all my life, right? Then
Hmm.
just across the street is East New York. And then when you go to the other side of East New York, you got Brownsville, Ocean Hill. But the people that live there don't really know the difference. They don't know where the lines are. So you have people in Brownsville saying it's East New York. You got people in East Flatbush saying that they still in East New York or they still in Brownsville. So we got to remember these imaginary lines. These are
Right.
imaginary lines. So we have to be precise when we looking. We have to know what we're looking for. The good thing is when you look at these, if you do know the tribes that were in the area, when you look at the tribes, if you go to their pages and stuff like that, they kind of tell you, they kind of give you a history on the tribe and where they were at what time. A lot of times, so that is helpful when you see how they migrated. Another thing looking for tribes is tribes change. Like I said before, tribes change. Your family may have been like my family was Tuscarora, but they ended up in Virginia with the Confederacies and all of that, and then now they no longer Tuscarora. Then you had the other Tuscarora that went up to New York, and that's where they are. So when I found my Tuscarora family, I'm thinking that I'm going to join the Tuscarora in New York, and when I talked to them, they said, "Oh, you Saponi,
Wow.
you're not Tuscarora." I'm like,
Right.
well, it says Tuscarora right here. It said that they was in Tuscarora Reservation Tuscarora Indian was this and that. Yeah, but that the last name, no, that's Saponi. So I had to go to Saponi. I didn't understand it, but now I understand it's good. There's all kind of confederacy. There's a lot going on. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
When a war break out, everybody fleeing.
Yep.
You don't know where you gonna land.
Exactly. And you're going to join up, with, who you can, when you are fleeing.
Yeah,
But
that's
that's definitely good points, as far as the different tribes. And one thing that I've started to notice just from hearing different people speak on genealogy and different things like that, if you really listen closely to some of the live streamers out there, a lot of our surnames are in different parts. So you'll hear I'm starting to hear like the same surnames in like Algonquin tribes, Iroquois tribes, Sioux tribes. So Legacy is absolutely correct when he's saying, these are our tribes and our people. We ended up in all kinds of places, so that's why you're going to find all kinds of different tribes that you're associated with. So your people may not have started out as Catawba, but again ended up there because that's the people that took them in. So just keep that in mind when you're looking through genealogy, because that's something that's definitely going to happen. Um, One other question that we ended up getting from someone, and I'm gonna let Legacy speak on this again because he knows about this. Is there any connection with Portuguese and the Indians?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure about North America, but I know definitely South America, the islands. There is a lot of it
Mm-hmm.
because I actually have some ancestry from Portugal via Spain, conquistadors that came in from Portugal. It was a lot of. That's another thing. When you look at the European background, they're everywhere. So just because you have a certain name coming out of Europe, don't assume that that's what it is. So if your people came from Spain, right, that would make them Spanish, right? But if you go and look at the actual bloodline, it could be anywhere. So yeah, there is definitely a tie with the. You got to think that's like saying, are there any white people at the food stamp office?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to eat.
Yep.
So when they saw America, they said, "This is our opportunity. We're gonna come here and we're gonna be rich. We're gonna be rich because you got to think, people. We even to this day, we do not really care about riches like that. The people that
Right.
are out there, even in, I know this is kind of veering off, but even people in hip hop right now, right? The jewelry, the money, this, that, da, da, da. They showing it because they want that attention, but they really don't care about it. They really don't. It's just validation. It's a status more than anything, but there's really no value to it for our people. So if you got a bunch of people that really don't value that stuff in that way, you like, well, shit, we're gonna come get it. I've seen videos that Cormeo did where they had like caves full of pearls just sitting there.
Right.
If you got an abundance of something, it's not really worth much to you. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And that's the whole reason for trading is because we need what you have and you don't have what we have, so we're gonna give it to you. So yeah, everybody was here. Everybody was here trying to get some.
I
But
agree.
that sounds like to me that sounds like either South America or the islands or maybe Florida.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that. So, well, first of all, it's a fact that the Spanish and Portuguese were put in the ancestors as indentured servants, encomiendas, or what you would consider a slave. They weren't enslaving Africans. Once they came here, they knew who they wanted and put to work, and what was more resourceful and easier. And it was enslaving your ancestors, not bringing somebody from another continent. So they're definitely involved. They definitely mixed. Now Portuguese were actually first, and Spaniards actually exploring. And the Spaniards got the inside info from the Portuguese. They were the ones kind of probably already going back and forth from Brazil to the Cape Verde Islands, Canary Islands, and then West Africa before the Spaniards. But in North America, the Portuguese had a big role, especially in New England. They were the ones who were being taught how to whale and getting the commerce and everything from the New England Indians. And the Cape Verde Islands, it was a Portuguese colony. They speak Portuguese today. They call it a Creole Portuguese, or they call it Criollo, right? These were all Indians, most of them. That island was uninhabited before they came over here, and they was bringing thousands of Indians over there. The Botoc tribe, most of it was taken to Cape Verde. A lot of the Indians from South Carolina, Haiti, the Caribbean, Most of the people that were in the Cape Verde Islands, after the 1500s, was American Indians. And talking about if you have a little bit of Portuguese, if you're Cape Verdean, um, you'll know that there's more Cape Verdeans outside of the country than in the actual country, and actually the biggest minority in New England is Cape Verdeans. If you go up there, they're all over Bridgeport, Connecticut, in Rhode Island, Providence, Boston. Boston's full of Cape Verdean. I grew up with Cape Verdeans. I speak Cape Verdean. The whole neighborhood was Cape Verdean. And up in New Hampshire and all that area. And these are all, honestly, if you look at the East Coast tribes in that area, the Shinnecock, the Narragansett, the Wampanoag, I showed some old footage in my video. They look just like Cape Verdeans. Cape Verdeans don't even look West African. Like, there is very dark skinned Cape Verdeans that you would say he might be related to West African, but no, we already had that here too. So you have to be able to prove that. So, that's, when you say if you have Portuguese, you got to understand what do you mean by that? And also, we got to break the spell of thinking that Portuguese and Spaniards were white or, pale. And if you know true history during that time, that was Iberia, right? And this is the same year that they got kicked out of there. The Moors, the Jews, and all these people got kicked out in 1492. All right, and these were Andalusians and all these people. These were all Moorish towns. All right, so there's a lot to think about. So if you're light skinned, is what I'm saying is if you're light skinned, don't think automatically it's because you're mixed with white or a pale face. Is what
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
Absolutely. I didn't mean to interrupt you, man, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I was done. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, so yeah, there is involvement with the Portuguese. They had a lot of involvement with the American Indians.
So basically, what we're saying here today is that um keep digging on the genealogy because it is important. Um, you gotta know who you are. I mean, it's 2020 now. Um, to me, enough of the talking. We got to start putting things into action. If you want to know who you are, where you're from, and all that, you got to put in the work to do it. It's time. Um, the other thing that I wanted to do real quick before the live stream's over, we're only going to go for about an hour. I wanted to screen share and show my genealogy, some of it, and like Legacy was saying before, we're never going to get to the very end of it. That'll take a lifetime plus. Um, you got so many ancestors that you're never going to find all of them. Um, some of us, again, the genealogy on certain family lines goes easy, and then certain other family lines is hard as hell. Trust me, I know there's been a few times where I just been like, screw this, I'm done. I don't want to do
Yeah.
this no more. But I know it's important, and I just got to keep going. Go ahead, Legacy.
No, I was just laughing about it because hell yeah, it's rough. It's rough, man. It takes time. But real quick, I wanted to piggyback off what Corey May was saying about us assuming that the Europeans were pale skinned. Yeah, we a lot of people gonna assume that, especially when you have them stealing identity, adding pictures and saying that this is how they looked, and just like they did with the Indians, it's going to be a lot of that. And understand also that white, black, mulatto, or Indian or whatever doesn't necessarily mean that that's what people were. You got to really look behind all of that to see what the hell is going on. Because if you really get into genealogy, you'll see a black child with two white parents. You're like, what the hell is going on? How did this child was born white and now he's black? So yeah, so it's a lot with genealogy and with history where they have taken stuff. I got conquistadors and all of that, Knights Templars in my tree, and to this day I'm sitting here like, man, I don't even know how these people look, what color they were, or anything. Who knows what really happened?
Exactly. And Again, if you haven't seen Kudamail's last video that he did, please take a look at it. Um, I'm not sure why, if what other more proof you need to at least do your research to see if your people are from here. He's showing you Indian tribes of people that look like us. I mean, that's very powerful. And I know we all got our different paths that we're going here. Hopefully, we're all trying to get to the same goal. And do get there however you need to get there. But just again, you owe it to yourself to put in the journey and do the work to find out who your people are. And I wanted to do one other thing here. I wanted to show my genealogy, just to kind of motivate people. So it's not to brag. Again, I'm not, to the end of anything. But I do have some lines that I did, get to go back pretty far on that I just wanted to show. So let me screen share real quick. If you brothers want to, chat about anything, you can while I'm doing this. Okay, can you guys see that panel?
Yeah, I can see it.
You can see it. Okay. So hopefully everyone in the chat can see this as well. But this is what I wanted to show. So I'm showing right now my mother's her mother and her father, which is these two people here. So what I wanted to do is I'm gonna go up my grandfather's line here for just a second, just to show what I've come across, um, and anything that was difficult at the same time. So my grandfather, his name was Clifford Clark. He's a junior. His father's name was Clifford Clark as well. He's a senior. All right, so let's open this up for him. See what we get next. But for everybody, I mess with my genealogy probably on a daily. That's just me. That's just what I do. And again, see some places here on my genealogy where I don't have everything filled in. Like we're saying, it's tough. You're gonna run into a whole lot of roadblocks. So it's definitely tough. But with my great grandfather, this is his mother and father, Maggie Jackson. And this is the Jackson clan here. And we get to William B. Jackson. He was born here in Ohio, where I'm at as well. So I'm going to go a little bit further here. So we get to the Jacksons here. And again, at this point, I am back with some of these people to 1760 here on this line here. Okay. And then we get into the Jacksons were part of the Gibson family as well. So once we're here, we're at 1723. And let me click on this here again. And then once we get into that, then we got this line here. So we got the Poitras and we got the Gibson line. Okay. So now here at the top, my genealogy search has led me to Elizabeth Chavis, 1648, and Thomas Gibson II, 1639. So the whole point of me showing this is I want everybody out there that's watching this to stay motivated with doing the genealogy because it can be done. I don't want you to, everyone to give up and feel like, um, you can't get back any further. If you don't want to go back any further, that's understandable as well. Um, Legacy, are you in? He keeps getting booted out. But yeah, I just, I want everybody to stay motivated with the genealogy because, again, it's possible for any of us to get back as far as we can. Like, you in?
Yeah, yeah, man.
Okay. So I did want to show, show you that it is possible to get back to the 1600s. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back any further than that. Probably not. Um, did you get a chance to see what I was showing?
Yeah, yeah, I did.
Okay. Did
Yeah,
you
definitely.
want to say any word anything else before we go?
Um, yeah, I see, I've said it before. I mean, everybody has their own prerogative, but one, the ancestors are most important, even before the tribe or anything like that. We need to look, see who our ancestors are, what they did. And when I say ancestors, I don't even mean that far. I mean like great grandmother, great great grandmother. We I see a lot of emphasis on tribe, a lot of emphasis on us being who we are, and not enough emphasis on our ancestors. Even with the history, I love the history. I love to see all the images, like you said, through like Cormeo's channel, seeing all the images and knowing that that's the history. But I have to, me personally, I had to know exactly who I was. And who I am is different from who you are, who that person is. It's just so many different mixes of people from family to family. So I don't want to discourage anyone that that's saying, "Oh, I'm Aboriginal" or whatever. But it's to the point now where it's like a sticker. You know what I mean? It's like everybody's just taking the Abo sticker and putting it on their forehead, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm an Abo," and you really need to do the work, so you could connect to your tribe. And the reason why I say connect to your tribe is because there's a lot of culture with it. There's a lot of emotion with it. It's a lot of spiritual stuff with it. It's ways for you to connect to your ancestors that are still with you, right here within you. They're part of you. So there's very a lot of importance with that. I see a lot of people saying that, oh well, the white people took over the tribes and this and that and blah blah blah. A lot of this stuff is just excuses not to do the work. And I think we need to stop that. And as leaders, I think we need to encourage more of people doing genealogy, of people connecting to their tribes, find out their culture. Because guess what? Even within I'm suing, but even within the Sioux, we all have different things that we do. We have different languages. Our language
That's
is not
right.
the same. You could say a word in Tutelo, and it's going to be different. It'll be the same. It'll sound the same, but it'll be a different word in Lakota or Quapaw or whatever.
That's
So
right.
we got to stop thinking that Indians is just Indians and Abos is just Abos. It's just not true. Different cultures from different places. What we eat over here, we don't necessarily eat over there. So it's just so much. So that's the really importance of joining the tribe and stuff like that. So you can learn a lot of stuff that you've lost, and so you could really reconnect and be grounded. And it feels so good. Even sometimes if I don't understand the language, sometimes I'll just listen to something because I know that it is the language, and you could just feel the tingling, that tingling sensation within your body and stuff like that, through the different tones and everything like that. And learning the language like we're doing now, learning the Tutelo, learning the Gia and all of that, learning the history and everything. You got to understand, we've been programmed completely. It's not just our mind, it's our body, it's everything. All of these different, just even using the English language is messing with us spiritually, our DNA, everything. The things we eat, it's just so much more than just saying that, oh, I'm an Indian and I'm Abo. You don't even know your history. If I just pick one person out, just because they brown skin doesn't mean that they're Abo. Doesn't mean that because grandma said you was Cherokee or Choctaw or whatever. That doesn't mean that it's absolutely true. You may go back and be a totally different tribe, and now you've been going your whole life saying you're this, that, and a third, and going against your ancestors. So
Right.
I gotta be careful, man. Be careful out there, and just get on it, on it, on it, on it, on it. It's about to be 2020, and a lot of people they're gonna be stuck. They're gonna be stuck because they're gonna be like, oh, I'm Indian, and the people are gonna say, well, where your where your card at? What tribe you belong to? What's this? What's that? And you're not gonna be able to tell them nothing. But I'm Cherokee or I'm Blackfoot. That's
And
that's what it's at.
I also feel like, we owe it to, whoever our ancestors are to find out the truth about them. So, again, like I always say, if I do end up finding, that I have African, I'm not going to hide it from anybody. I'll show you guys because, again, never had any issue with being African or Africa or anything like that. You know, we just want the chance to, tell people who we are without being told who we are. And that's the importance of doing all this genealogy and finding your family and, everything like that. And then it also gives you the chance, to connect back with your family, that you may not have spoke to for a while. It gives you a chance to, start getting back to the ways our ancestors lived with nature, building things, planting food, all that stuff. So, I mean, it all ties together. It's, as Wanagi would say, are you living the Indian ways? And, you can call it whatever you want to call it. Don't have to be the word Indian. It could be Abo, original, whatever word you want to use is I'm good with it. I'm okay with whatever word you want to use to describe yourself, but just let's not put who we want people to be on others. So um, that's what I have with that. Wanted again to acknowledge some people in the chat again because missed a few people here. Um, Let me see if I can go back here a little bit. No love, Chuck. Peace. Thanks for being here. Omega, appreciate you being here. Thank you. Blue Tinsel, peace. Thanks for being here. Amir Bay, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it, relative. Let's see who else we got. Rude, ASX, Ebo. Appreciate you, sis, for being here. And the just to answer your question, Rude. That's the point. That's the point of us doing this because we're trying to give some pointers on, and we're going to try to hopefully make this more than a one-time show. Try to get other people who are into doing genealogy and different things like that on here, so we can give, out some pointers and different things and techniques that we use. Like I always say, I'm not a genealogy expert. It's just trial and error, to be honest. Um, Legacy, before we go, do you have like a pointer you can give to somebody who's, maybe stuck or it's their first time getting into genealogy?
Well, one you can go to my channel, Love Legacy 500. I have videos there. That's one thing you can do,
Great
and
idea.
I actually have a video where I'm starting basically from scratch and showing you how ancestry works. And it's basically how ancestry works, and then I'm giving you different pointers like that. Also, you can reach out to me, lovelegacy400 at gmail.com. Rarely, I used to do a lot of free genealogy, but you know how our people could be. I hate to say it. So now, now I will help people for $100. That's just one time. $100 and I will help you. Period. So that's like almost like a lifetime membership or something like that, right? And then
Right.
if you want me to do your genealogy for you, I charge 250. That is not bad at all. I know it might sound to some people like, oh, this, that, third, but basically, I'm giving it away, basically, because it's hours and hours. It took me a year to get my tree together, and now I have 1,900 ancestors, and that's only because I came through
Right.
Puerto Rico. That's only because I came through Puerto Rico. If I count my Indian ants like my Negro Indian ancestors from North America, it's not. It's probably I don't know, maybe 400, 500, something like that. Maybe I don't know, just off the top of the head. So most of
Mm-hmm.
them are through there. But yeah, you can reach me Love Legacy 400 at gmail.com. And actually, the first person that hits me up, I'll do it free. So whoever that lucky person is, I'll do your joint for free. But anybody else after that, like I said, I charge 100 to help you and guide you through it. And I will continue to help you as long as you want to help yourself. But like I said, it takes hours and hours. If the average pay is like $12 an hour in America, something like that, $10, $12 an hour,
Yep.
right? And I'm shoot, if I work for months, I mean, come on, that's slavery. So I'm giving you a slave price. Literally, it is. I'll give you a slave price. So just hit me up, and anybody can hit me up for pointers. Absolutely free. I'll tell you. If you got questions, hit me up. Love Legacy 500 at Instagram. All right, and like I said, go to my channel. I'm giving it away on my channel for free. All you gotta do is just go there. The video's an hour long, but watch the video because if you can't watch an hour long video, then you can't do genealogy. I'm sorry. I love y'all. I know I'll be hard on my people, but I love y'all, and I just want y'all to rise up, man, and tribe up, and get spiritual, and get back to the way we used to do things. Peace.
Exactly. I agree, brother. Yeah, we do this and come on and do the videos and different things like that because we do love y'all. We know what we've been through in this world, and we're just trying to get there to where we can rise above it and make things better. Um Again, shout out to some more people in the chat. A new breed, kind of hop not be relative. Stephen Redclay, what's good, Cuzzo? But we're gonna go ahead at this point and shut down the video. So what I hope to do with this is try to make this, again, hopefully a weekly thing that we can come on and do, and we can, start having different guests on who do genealogy and give their pointers and tell their how they've been doing it. So again, I appreciate everyone that took the time out to come out here and listen to us. um Kudameo, did you have any last words you wanted to say before we go? He might be busy.
Yeah, he has stepped. He's said he stepped out for a second. But
Okay.
guys, you can go over to Corey Mayo's channel, Kurimeo, Corey Mayo, and he has a lot of history. So people out there saying that you're not this, you're not that, tell them go look at all 60 videos.
Definitely. Definitely. And Legacy, did you want to give any final words before we go?
Um, just stay encouraged, and like I said, get into the genealogy, or just ask family. What did grandma do for a living? What did grandpa do for a living? And so we could really stop doing these crazy things, man. We out here, our people out here killing each other, embracing the culture, embracing this hip hop culture and all this other stuff, this kill culture that really has nothing to do with our people. So, even if you don't get to the genealogy, man, get to the people that's around you and see what they doing or what they did or what information they can give you, and you'll see that your family didn't do that. So, I just want our people to just stop the nonsense, man, and come together.
Cool. All right, relatives. So for me, again, uh this is important to me. Getting everyone, to the point where they can find their family members, get into the genealogy as much as you can, dig back as far as you can because it's possible. Also, coming here when we, again, it's 2020 and it is now time to start showing and proving and stop all this talking. So here coming up soon during the when it starts to get a little bit warmer out, I have some how-to videos on how to, do some things and be self-sufficient. Again, it's probably going to be impossible to totally to get away from this system, but we can slowly wean ourselves off so we're not so dependent on it. All right, relatives. So that's all I got for today. And again, we're going to try to do this again maybe next Monday or Tuesday. Love you all. Take care.